5 years ago, on March 24th, Dark Souls 3 was released in Japan. And a couple weeks later, April 12th, it was released everywhere else. The third and final addition to the Dark Souls series, I have to say, was my favorite one of the bunch, and will go down as one of my favorite games of all time. And with that aside, obviously, spoiler alert, if you haven't played the game in the 5 years since it's been released, you should definitely play it. I think you should. It'll be a great addition to your library. Any of the Dark Souls, really. Very, very good at character development for people of a young age. Alright, let's take a dive. The gameplay of Dark Souls 3. Now, you could say it's similar to Dark Souls 1, 2, even Demon Souls, if you will. I feel like it was kind of hard to get into, but not as hard as the other ones were. I think Dark Souls 1 and 2, because those are the ones that I played, they were kind of laid out for you. And I mean, I guess that's expected, being the first of the bunch or other games that came before Dark Souls 3. But Dark Souls 3 was like, you've played the other two, get going. In any case, playing the game and finding out mechanics that are really profitable is really rewarding, at least for myself, and probably for people who are just getting into a Souls game, in any Souls game. So learning how to parry, learning when to dodge just right, learning how to use your stamina right, it's all rewarding when you do it right. And it makes you feel good, it makes you feel like you've actually accomplished something in this game. And in the mechanics, what I mean by this, mostly combat, it feels like they're a lot smoother than I remember what Dark Souls 1 and 2 to be. I'm sorry for comparing all of this to Dark Souls 1 and 2. I probably shouldn't be doing that. But they're really smooth, in my opinion, and it's really easy to get to know them and learn how to use them, what to do, and when to do it. But at the same time, they're really challenging to go up against, if you will. For PvP as well as fighting bosses, it's kind of like you have to still learn what is going on in the game and how people are playing, versus if it was just you fighting against yourself, Going from different items, different combat techniques is very smooth in transition. Not talking about how you build your character, what areas you're strong in, but picking a broadsword over a greatsword and switching in between them, it's kind of easy to do, and it's kind of easy followed, if that makes sense. Like, you use a broadsword, you can easily figure out how the greatsword works. Let's talk about the story of Dark Souls 3. Now, the story of Dark Souls 3 and the story of the Souls games in general, or I'm guessing 1 and 2, it's pretty much the same-ish. So you have the Ashen one, born of Ash, obviously, and he set out on the journey to become, or is, the chosen one that will be the ruler of Ash, the kindled one. Now, however you'd like to tell the story, I believe that's what happens. I don't know completely, but, to that basis, that's what goes on in Dark Souls, the trilogy. So, in Dark Souls 3, the story seems easy to follow. There's no proper storytelling, like there's no one actually giving you the quest. There's no one actually telling you where to go, why you're doing this, etc., etc. But you can tell, if you've played the other Souls games, that it's basically another repeat of the cycle. If you're brand new, then it may seem like, oh, you're the chosen one, which is, I guess, how it was meant to be if it's just another repeat of the cycle. So with that being said, I feel like it doesn't require previous knowledge of the other two Souls games. Other two, I mean by Dark Souls 1 and 2. I think I've said that already. I think that makes it very easy for new people to get into this game. Some people who like to see series games feel like they don't want to jump in at the third or fourth game because they don't know the story of the other games. And that's okay. Like, every game has its own lengthy story or whatnot. But with a Dark Souls 3, you pick up the game and it's almost as if it's just a new story. You don't need to know about the other Souls. You don't need to know about Gwendolyn. You don't need to know about, but if you were to play the other two Souls games, you would find out, you'd be able to put together what actually is the whole concept of Dark Souls. The telling format of Dark Souls 3 is kind of weird. There's no one giving you the quest. There's no one giving you the mission. It's just you set out on the journey because you are the Ashen One to be kindled. And some people may not understand that, and that's kind of off-putting to the new gamer, potentially, unless they can piece together that from the beginning sequence, the unkindled one rises to the flame. Aside from the main story, I feel like the other side character stories kind of fun. They're very cool and I guess laughable characters. Not laughable as laughing at them, but they make me laugh. The characters are really thought out, have their own weird stories and whatnot, and they kind of add to the journey, really, the hero's journey of finding someone along the way, just either to talk or laugh, to share information, and then they end up helping you. The level and map design, this will be fun. So right off the bat, everyone knows there's useful areas, extremely useful areas in Dark Souls. In any Dark Souls, or probably any Souls game, you'll find out that there are maybe one or two areas that you'll walk into and you'll be like, damn, there's a lot of shit here. Of course, that was ironic if you couldn't tell. Off the top of my head, I don't exactly know what the point of this is. Maybe that's why they call them pointless, but that's just something to know. Now there are shortcuts, and that sounds enticing, but what that actually means is if you can run fast enough and you can dodge great enough, maybe you won't have to die a few extra times getting back to that bonfire. These shortcuts, I feel, are semi-useful. Some in terms of, getting a straightaway to the boss. Other in terms of, well, now you don't have to walk in a big circle. And the latter of the two can lead to you being bonfire starved. Bonfire starved meaning that you basically have a fat-ass journey to travel through just to get to a bonfire, and you will potentially die maybe like 20 times along the way. That's bonfire starved. Only thing common in a Souls game is that it's going to be extremely hard for you to get to that bonfire. Other than that, the way the maps look, or the stages look, however you want to refer to them, I think they are actually beautiful. It kind of speaks to what kind of boss is there in most cases. Some of which being that, maybe they're dirty, or they're uber clean, they're cold, they're in a pit of lava or something. And I think that it really adds to what kind of story is trying to be told here, rather than, oh, you went here and you killed big guy. It's why is the giant homed under the jail? Some basic shit, I guess. Now let's talk about its playability. This game has been out for 5 years, and there are still people playing it. There are still people who are doing Let's Plays and having fun on Twitch or some shit. And you have to wonder, how is it that people can play a game that was made 5 years ago, single player by the way, for the most part, and still have a new and fun experience? Well, I'll tell you. Modifications. So the modded gameplay for Dark Souls 3 at least, I feel like is very refreshing for, I guess, new playthroughs. It'll always be fun to watch Twitch streamers like Prod play a new mod at some point, I guess. To me, it's always fun to start a new playthrough on my favorite mod, the Cinders mod, and just have a blast. Because if you've ever played a Souls game, you'll know that the mob spawns aren't randomized. You'll know that the item spawns aren't randomized. the bosses don't have any random moves or anything like that. But with the use of mods, you can get a new kind of revitalized experience rather than, planning out what you're going to do when you get jumped, or avoiding a certain area because you know that 5 mobs are going to come from a certain corner. With the addition of mods, it makes the game feel like it's new, or it's got a new aspect to it. Something like the level up system being kind of broken and stacked against you so that the game is hard again for veteran players like me. With mods brings new content, new trials. Some people like to use cut content, which is always fun. And that is a secret to why this game is still being played on twitch.tv and on YouTube, basically. Things like no-hit runs, soul level 1 runs are really things in the past, unless you want to do it yourself. But with the addition of mods, you can do all that stuff and have it hard again. You don't get to plan out what route to take that easily anymore. I can't believe that a couple years ago, when I first got the game, I spent 3 hours fighting the first boss because I had no idea what I was doing. But the reason I kept playing was because I wanted to get it right, and as soon as I did, it was the most relieving thing I had. Learning to play the game, and especially at this age, I feel like was probably the best thing I could do. Learning to play Dark Souls 3 was one of the best experiences I've had in gaming because it taught me new ways of thinking and new ways of decision making that no other game has. And with that, I think that concludes this review, 5-year review of Dark Souls 3. One of my favorite games of all time, like I said, and definitely a good playthrough. Any of the Souls games are a good playthrough. I don't plan on making reviews for 1 and 2 because I don't really have good experiences with them like I do Dark Souls 3, but any of the Souls games are definitely good playthroughs.
Spend a lot of time on my own. Don't go outside, locked up in my room. Life switched up, don't know where to go. After all this time, you're still in my phone. Traded so much time and got so far. Like things ain't changed, stuck at the start. Gave it my all, but had to let go. Trying to save me from myself.